guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Age of Extinction Deluxe Class Bumblebee. Specifically the Toys R Us exclusive Evolution 2-pack, which features Bumblebee in his new concept Camaro look that we saw in the Age of Extinction movie, as well as his new Legend Class figure, and a really badly reused Dark of the Moon Jolt weapon. But here we have him in the packaging. What's really funny is you can see that the background image is of his more classic looking Camaro that he had, despite the fact that this is how he looked later on in the movie. And then as part of the Evolution gimmick, I guess, you come around either side and you can see G1 Bumblebee, which is terrific. I love it. You got the nice Transformers logo there, Transformers Age of Extinction. Come around here to the back, you got that new Legend Class figure that I talked about, which they're calling a classic figure, and it has a little bit of that War for Cybertron look, but with an actual car mode as opposed to a Cybertronian vehicle mode. And then you have the new Deluxe Bumblebee here, and you can see that this is actually part of the Thrilling 30. It's number 22 of 30. Really a very nice looking vehicle mode that you have there. But for the packaging, that is about it. I do really love how they are mixing the old and the new with kind of old school looking Autobot logo with the grid background. I just love the way that that looks. But for the packaging, that's about it for it. So without further ado, let's get him open and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Bumblebee open up and out of its packaging. And starting off first, we're going to take a look at this new Legend Class guy. Now, I believe that this is a completely new mold. I don't think we've gotten this before with anything. But the gun is just a repaint of the Dark of the Moon Jolt one. As you can see, it's got that same automorph sort of gimmick thing with it. Not a very big fan of it, but it does actually kind of resemble Bumblebee's canon of sorts from the movie. So you do have this. I'm just not a huge fan of it, and as you can see, you can plug it in there, but it's almost like the hole isn't big enough for the peg. When you're almost forcing it, and when you get it in there, it's one of those things where it kind of feels like you're stretching the actual hole. But there you have his stupid weapon storage. But yeah, I do believe that this is the first time that we got this mold. Both of these figures are coming to us for the first time in this pack. Now, I do believe that they are repainting this one into Cliffjumper, maybe even giving them a different head, something like that. That'll be sold separately. And then this, I do want to say, is going to come available in an individual pack, as well as several other ones. Like there's going to be a 5-pack that's released. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be a Toys R Us exclusive or anything like that, but this is the first time that we're getting the new concept Camaro look for Bumblebee. But for this guy, I mean, he's actually a pretty cool looking little bot. It's weird. I mean, you can see that his tires really don't have much of a space between the bottom and the actual tires, so it has a little bit of a hard time rolling. But there we go. We're gonna action feature, and that's about it. You got a nice little Autobot logo here on the back. You got some nice paint applications here with the headlights just painted blue. You got the grill section here that's silver, black tires. You got the blue paint here for the taillights as well. It's a bit of an updated look to that War for Cybertron Bumblebee character, where in a Cybertronian mode he sort of resembled what we have here, but this is clearly a Earth mode look for him. But I dig it. It's decent. It's not something that I would think a lot of people would use for their representation of Bumblebee in their collection, but it's a nice toy nonetheless. To transform him, come around here, we're just going to pull these arms away from the side. You can see that it also pulls everything else. So you can stretch this out, kind of angle this whole section here will rotate down, and you keep that folded back like that. Straighten out these legs, rotate these arms. This is actually really neat. You rotate this, and then this section here collapses up again, and then again you have a very similar look to that War for Cybertron arm. So do that on this side as well. Fold that, then his feet fold down just like that there, and straightening everything out, and there you have Bumblebee. And again, it does really have that same War for Cybertron look, but more updated. It does have a more G1 looking face on there, which I think looks terrific. You can have him hold his gun, which
again, very tight getting in there, and it's a heavy gun, so he's just gonna fall. So kind of stupid, but he comes with a gun. Again, I don't know why they needed to include it. I feel it's kind of pointless and a little bit cheap in the fact that a lot of these new Legend figures have been given target masters or things like that. I mean, you had Payload with Cosmos, you had Reflector with Scrapnel, you got a reused gun with Bumblebee. So that's kind of unfortunate, but overall, decent looking representation. Like I said, I don't think it's going to replace a lot of Bumblebees in people's displays, but it's still nice nonetheless. For his articulation, the head is locked in one position, but you do see some fairly nice paint, well, don't go backwards, some nice paint applications on the actual face. You got some nice silver and then a little bit lighter blue for like his eyes. That's actually really very nice. You got his Autobot logo there and everything there, but again, for his articulation, you have his shoulders that are on ball joints. I think those are those actual ball joints? Yeah, those are ball joints right there. They rotate, they move in and out and all that kind of stuff here. You got that extra hinge right there to allow that in and out motion. You got a joint here at the elbow. It is a ball joint as well. Oh, and then it also does angle like that. So I guess you could. I don't know why you would want to do that. That's kind of really weird looking. I don't like that at all. Just leave those down, but I guess you could flare them out a little bit, give a little bit more dimension to it. Nothing at the wrists, nothing at the actual waist. The hips are on ball joints, nice range of motion. Then the knees, they bend, but that's as far as they go. So they don't even bend a full 90 degrees. I don't even know what that is. That's like maybe a 45-degree bend, but that's about it. You can rotate his angles forward if you wanted to, but generally speaking, it is a nice representation of Bumblebee. It is what it is. It's nothing overly spectacular, but it's still a pretty decent representation of the guy. And I guess being that he is a mini-bot, I guess scale-wise, he would scale a little bit better with your classic figures than that deluxe one that we got many years ago, especially if you have Cosmos and Swerve and any of those guys in there as well. So for that purpose, I do see him being fairly well liked, and if collectors do want to have a little bit more of a better scale representation of Bumblebee, I do think that this guy is it. Now coming on to the Age of Extinction Bumblebee, as you can see here, he is in his new concept Camaro look. Has a similar sort of look to a lot of the new 2014 Camaros. The front end is very different, especially the headlights, but it does have that thinner sort of look where the headlights would be. The back, in terms of the taillights and things like that, it's very similar to what's going on with the 2014. This guy, one thing that I don't like is it looks like a lot of panels just don't push together, and it's got all these cracks, and it just, I don't think, comes together very well. Like, one thing that you may be able to notice is there is a different plastic color as well as paint going on here. For example, this all down here is orange or yellow, orangish yellow, I guess, plastic, whereas this, even coming back here, this is all orange paint. You can actually, well, I can see it to the naked eye, but you can see a complete difference between what's going on here and then there. To me, and again, it may not be coming out on the actual camera, but in hand, I don't like the way that looks. It stands out and is really kind of ugly looking. In addition to all these little just gaps, I mean, it doesn't seem too cohesive, and it's really unfortunate. He does have slightly bluish headlights, which is pretty accurate. If you watch the movie, he did have high-intensity beams that were bluish in color, which is pretty accurate to that representation on the screen. He doesn't have a license plate or taillights. You can sort of see, if I come in here, I always go backwards. If you come in, you can sort of see that he does have a actual Chevy logo right there, and you come around to the front, you can sort of make out one right in there. It's so hard to see. It's really almost impossible to kind of see it, but they are there. It's a small vehicle. It's not too terribly small. Bringing in a lockdown, you can see that they are about the same size. So if you know how small this guy is, that's about how small he is. He does roll, although it is a little bit weirder because he's got all this weapon storage and stuff underneath. So on my table here, which is a rounder surface, it's a little bit harder to get all the actual tires down there, but you can see he's got these spokes spokes of doom that store underneath his vehicle mode. I'm going to remove these. You're going to have to take these off for transformation anyhow. These, I want to say that I remember seeing these in the movie. These were kind of in his back area, but I, for some reason, remember seeing him on Stinger a whole lot more. If you recall, Stinger was a clone of Bumblebee. When the humans decided to create Stinger, they used Bumblebee as a base for that design. And these, I want to say that I saw these more on Stinger than I actually saw Bumblebee. But I mean, it's a good looking vehicle mode. I like it. I'm a fan of Camaros. I don't like the stripe down the middle, which is why my Camaro has the stripes like he had him in the Dark of the Moon. I think it looks better. I do like the vents here on the actual hood. That's a nice little touch. But overall, a very nice looking vehicle mode. Paint applications are severely lacking. He has Autobot logos molded in right there and then there, but not painted at all. And then again, you can see that it's like you push one side in and the other side comes out. So you push that down and that side comes out. So it's, I don't know, it's just gappy, a lot of panel lines, and just kind of ugly in that regard. But vehicle mode, that's what you got. All right, now to transform this guy, he's a very simple transformer. A lot of these figures are now, and that's just something we're gonna have to get used to. But you just pull these arms out just like so, and then you want to take this whole section here and kind of pull this down. It's a little bit easier when you do it that way. It kind of tabs up in the front section here and kind of causes a giant cluster, but if you pull straight down, it actually works a lot better than just getting these out of the way like so. Take this back section, lift this, pull this up, and this is going to accordion up along his back. Then get this like that. There we go. Put it along there. Take his chest section, fold this down, and then this top section here rotates down and tucks underneath that gap that you just created, and then tuck that back just like so. Give that a nice little push. Then take these, again, just kind of fold this all the way up just like so. Bring the legs out, separate it, makes it a little bit easier. And take this whole section here, you want to push this down like so. Well, actually, you should rotate this piece around, and then you can rotate this down like so. Then take this, fold this in just like that. Do that on this side as well. We're going to rotate that out, just get that out of the way. Then bring this out, pull this, then take these sections, tuck those down along the back heel area. Take his legs, rotate that around. Oh, they tuck that in like so. Then keep that rotated up around there. Rotate that around, bring the arms down. Then these pieces here actually fold out like that, and then you can actually take them and rotate these down like so, which gives it a much nicer look in the arms. I see a lot of people, oh well, I just popped this off. Go get that back on there. I see a lot of people just kind of leave them like this, and it doesn't look bad, but when you do it like this and rotate these down, it actually gives a much cooler look, I think, for them. And then you can, like I said, you can have this a little bit further back, or you can have it closer up to the body. If you actually keep it a little bit further back, you do have weapon storage here. You can just peg these in. And if I remember right, he had these on his back, but you didn't see them a lot. As I mentioned, I think you see them a little bit more with Stinger. Oh, and then you take the windshield here, and then they just fold down just like so. I think you see them a little bit more on Stinger than you do here with Bumblebee, but you do have that little weapon storage right there, which is pretty nice for it. And here you have him. And honestly, robot mode here, I think he looks really cool. He is missing some paint applications that I really wish he had. The biggest ones being here, like in his forearms. I wish that they did something to kind of break up all this orangish yellow color, because you see his hands right here and it just blends in with the rest of his arms. Now the Takara one, I believe his forearms are actually painted black, which gives it a much nicer and I guess cleaner of a look. But here on the official Hasbro release, well, I shouldn't say official, because even the Takara one's an official one, the more retail version here, you can see though that it just kind of stands out and is a little bit ugly looking, but he's a cool looking figure. Now for comparison, here you have him next to the older looking version of Bumblebee in the Age of Extinction movie. And you can see that there is a noticeable difference. While this guy was a different car, he retained a lot of those similar looks that he had in the previous movies, such as the head. You got the feet very similar. You got the back section here. You have his wings. I mean, a lot of that is very similar to how he looked in the original trilogy. And in this one, you can see that he still has some of those same looks, but is very different. Zooming in so that you can see the head a little bit more, you can see that there is a similar look to it, but it is much nicer on the new one, and the paint applications are really well done. He even has a little Autobot logo on the top part of his head. I mean, that looks really terrific. And then when you look at the original Bumblebee, again, it just has more of that original look. I mean, really very, very nice. Now, zooming in so that you can see that a little bit better, like I said, that just has a really nice look to it. He does have light piping here in the back, but it really isn't all that great. I mean, I use a lot of lights, and it's not really coming through here too much. He does have. I'm just gonna pop his head off because it's a little bit. Well, no, maybe I won't. Whoa, big old bright eyes. He does have a battle mask that this whole section slides forward. It's kind of hard to do, and it's getting all blurry here. So you just pull it away from the actual head, and then it just comes down. It's really not much of a battle mask at all. I mean, it barely covers them up, but you can see that. And then it just sort of lifts and slides back, and getting that right there, I mean, you can see it doesn't do much, but there's a small subtleness to it. That kind of gives him that battle mask look, I guess. And that's not too terribly bad. And then for some more comparisons, here you have him next to Drift, Lockdown, and Optimus Prime. And it's really strange. I'm so used to a Bumblebee here being one of the smallest that it's really strange that Lockdown is even smaller than he is. Bumblebee, though, I mean, is actually a pretty good size, and I'm happy with it. Now, for his articulation, the head is on a ball joint. You get a nice range of motion, but it is one of those, it feels like the ball section is weirdly misshapen because it, like, moves. There's like grooves when you're moving it around. It's not a very fluid moving ball joint, and that kind of sucks, but you can get a nice upward look with them. The shoulders here do rotate at the inner section here, and then they rotate on the outer section. So the shoulder is in two different sections, but you do get that full range of motion. He does rotate at the upper part of the elbow, just above the actual elbow joint, and then he bends here at the elbow as well. On semi-ratchet joints, nothing spectacular there. Let's see, waist articulation. Oh no, he doesn't have any waist articulation. Everything kind of folds up there. The hips move forward and back. They are on ratchet joints in and out, so he will have a very strong, solid, wide stance where you can actually get him like that. And that's actually kind of cool like that. I really do dig that. That's neat. So the stability here is very strong because they have those ratchet joints. I really do appreciate that. He also does rotate at the upper part of the thigh. That's part of the transformation. He does bend here at the knee, but that's about as far as it's going to bend in. Very tight joints on that. Ankle wise, again, as part of the transformation, he does have two joints. You got an upper one here and then a lower one here down closer to the actual foot. But overall, I really am impressed with the figure. I think that he comes out very cool looking. There are some aspects that I don't like, such as these windows kind of just hanging out here. I mean, they stick out here on the bottom and it's kind of ugly, but it's also different. I mean, most of the time we got his arms or the doors kind of hanging off the back. So he does have a completely different body shape in this new movie, and I think the toy does a pretty decent job of capturing it. He does have an integrated weapon. You can see this side right here rotates around, and you have his actual cannon, which is pretty nice. It is kind of hidden by all the extra molding around there, but at least they incorporated that. I think that's really neat. He only has it on the one side though. He doesn't have it on this side, and he does have the slightly hollowed out forearm syndrome that a lot of people are really complaining about. These little bits here, you can take these off, and you can have him, if I can get him off, you can have him hold these as weapons. I don't know why you would want to. I don't remember ever seeing, I've seen the movie a couple times, I don't remember ever seeing him going around with these. So that just looks derpy, and I'm just gonna leave these pegged on the back here, but I really do enjoy the way that he looks. I think that this is one of the best looking of the Deluxe figures and nicely captures that new look that Bumblebee has. One thing that I would love to say is, or I'd like to say, is that I really do wish that at some point in time we got a larger version of this, like a kind of Human Alliance one, because I think I would really love that, especially in this new sort of design. I think that it could just do a much cleaner job with it, despite him already looking pretty good. Now, for the transformation, again, we're going to set him here. We got this little guy to start off with. We're going to rotate his feet down just like so. These arms right here, these are going to accordion outward like that. Do that on both sides of them. So you're creating that section here. Rotate this up and around, detach that. Rotate this up. And then these tuck up underneath the, well, I guess the windshield. I was going to say roof, but it goes right up underneath the actual window there. So, and then you just angle these back, and then these lock in on the side, somewhere around there. There we go. There we go. Come on. Get this all here. All right. Not line it up properly. There we go. Get you there. Angle you back. There we go. Come on, go in. There we go. Go in the hole. It's your home. Don't you like your home? There we go. Get that lined up. There you go. And then here you have Bumblebee back in his vehicle mode. And again, I really actually do like this scale-wise with the classic figures. I think it looks a little bit better than what we got with the old school Deluxe one. I just think that this one looks really nice. Enough that I actually went on the Big Bad Toy Store and I ordered the Cliffjumper, because I think I'm going to have both of these guys on my classics display. So setting him there, then coming to this little dude, you come to the legs. You want to rotate these around like so. Do that on this side as well. Kind of rotate these out, get these arms out of the way. Take this section here, rotate this, fold this down, do that there, fold that down, and then you angle at this joint all the way back up and over that wheel section. Then you can take these, rotate that around. So you have it bent here, then bend it up, bring this up and over, then you rotate the, which way do you go? You're going to rotate around just like so, and then keep these out as best as you possibly can. They kind of like tucking in, and it kind of hurts things when you're trying to line everything else up, but it's not too complicated. Get these little guys out of the way because they're gonna get in the way. There we go. Kind of straighten this out. You can bring these two halves together, bring this all the way back like so, bring this down, and then you line everything up and peg that down just like so. These, like I said, they like kind of collapsing in along the side, and then when you're bringing this in, you got this little tab that you have to keep on the outside. So just give this a little push, pull that outside, and then keep this, like I said, as squinched in as you possibly can. It doesn't do a good job of closing in the gap, so that's a very unfortunate aspect. Vehicle mode's definitely not the best on here. Rotate these little bits up, rotate this around like so, rotate this around and around, take this section, fold this down, and then kind of leave his head straight, and then pull this bit up, fold that up like so. This is going to collapse upward here, then collapse this up there, and now you're just pushing everything and tabbing everything along the side. Get that as lined up as you possibly can, squeezing everything into place. One side will pop out, and then the other side will, or you'll push one side in, one side will pop out. That's just the nature of it. And then you make sure that this is collapsed all the way up along his chest, and that basically it looks like you have the flip and change Bumblebee here. So getting this all done, and then these little pieces here, you can actually, like I said, store these in vehicle mode. You got two little holes. You can sort of make it out there, and then there and there. And there's little pegs on the sides here that you just kind of line that up and then push these in. Get that as tight in there as you possibly can, because these can stick out, causing the wheels to not go all the way down on the ground. So get that. And these are kind of hard to line up because you can't see underneath there. There, come on, rotate that around. There we go. So just like that. Make sure that's squeezed all the way up, and then it rolls pretty well. So here you have the Age of Extinction as well as the new Legend class Bumblebee transformed and back in their vehicle modes. Now the bottom line is I really do think that this particular set is well worth picking up. At only a few dollars more than the price of a regular deluxe, you're getting two figures that nicely fit into two different displays. First, the Legend class figure, as I said, really does do a nice job of capturing that G1 looking Bumblebee, but in an updated sort of look, which really is the point of classics. And I honestly have zero problem replacing that Deluxe Bumblebee with this guy in my classic display. As for the Age of Extinction Bumblebee, despite the vehicle mode not really being what I think would be the best of the Deluxe figures, robot mode I really think that he is. At least in terms of the main cast that we got. He has a really cool updated look that I think just nicely is translated here in terms of toy form. The Legend class Bumblebee here nicely has that video game look, but in a human Earth mode, I guess. Or not a human Earth mode, but an Earth mode. And the transformation is pretty simple, as a Legend class figure would be, but once you get it into his robot mode, it actually feels satisfying to do. And with all the new articulation that they're putting in these figures that are this small, these guys are really becoming very impressive. And this guy's vehicle mode, like I said, it would probably be a lot better if things pegged together and maybe didn't have all these extra panel lines that just don't stay together. It just gives it a sort of ugly look. Then I really am disappointed in the difference in using the orange plastic and then the orange paint. As I said, it's probably not coming across very well on camera, but in hand you will notice it instantly. The transformation is actually very simple, but also still fairly satisfying, especially since you get to a robot mode that is really very cool looking. I think this guy shines in terms of his robot mode, whereas this one actually I think is good in both robot and vehicle. So if I were to give these a scale, this guy would be about an 8 for me, whereas this guy's probably more around a 7. Now I know I usually don't give number scales, but I just thought you might like that. Either way, this is a set that I absolutely recommend picking up. As I mentioned earlier, I do not know if we're getting an individual retail version selling just Bumblebee, but I do know that we are getting several different versions of the Age of Extinction Bee, both individually and in various figure packs. But all that being said, both of these figures I think are well worth picking up and having in either classic or Age of Extinction display. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my new website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, as well as see what I have coming up for future release. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, don't forget to please rate, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.